In this current climate, day and time, information needs to be given clearly. In this case, Clear Vision with 2020 is a podcast for the people, by the people, that does exactly that. Your host keeps an open eye and mind when dealing with any issue at hand. We empower our audience with knowledge. You matter. And here, I use my voice to support and represent the people. The people are the human family who loves truth. Logical thinking and conversation skills are required for communication. News, culture, music, and entertainment with a clear look from a different perspective. Clear Vision with 2020. Peace, family. Peace. This is your brother, Agent 2020, and you are tuned into the Clear Vision Media Show. Okay, now, this is the disclaimer. Just gonna put it all the way out here right now. If you've never heard this before, I understand. If you've never heard this theory before, I understand ahead of time how you might feel about hearing it for the first time. I can understand that. That's understandable. Okay. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. I'm not going to lie to you about nothing. Okay. We're just dealing with 100% unadulterated truth. Okay. I mean, it took me a minute to understand the situation myself when I first heard about it, when I first experienced it, when we first heard ourselves. So we're going to give you a little background. This guy who calls himself Bro Sanchez, he made a video. I'm going to share it real quick here. Right here. He made a video talking about Yaqub's theory, Nation of Islam movie blames black people for creating evil. Okay, creating evil. Now, for whatever reason, he thought it was going to be cool for him to think he was going to be able to say that and nobody not say anything. Well, this is what you wanted to spark the conversation. So, I was trying to get in on the conversation, but he had the Instagram link. He was going live on Instagram. So I don't go live on Instagram. I go live on YouTube. Sometimes on Facebook, not really too much on X or TikTok or anything like that. But every now and then I'll pop in on TikTok and do a live. But okay, so this is Brad Sanchez. Let me switch something up here real quick. There we go. Okay. Now, we are going to listen to Brother Sanchez tell us what he thinks about the story of Yaqub. Okay, check this out.
Yes, if you heard of the Yaqub theory, it is a theory that is taught by the Nation of Islam. In a nutshell, it says that black people created white people. And we did it basically through scientific means. A Frankenstein theory, if you will. Genetic manipulation and tampering with genes. Leonard Robinson, thank you for the support. Thank you for the support, Leonard. Let's just play the trailer and we'll break it down afterwards. But the nation of it, everyone have their little theory to try to explain diversity. The out of Africa theory is one. Everyone want to know, how did the white man get here? How did diversity basically get here? And the Yaqub theory is the nation of Islam's explanation. And I think that it is just as dangerous and wrong as the out of Africa theory and others. All of these are just religious people's explanation of how diversity came onto the earth through their own religious account. And there is a new trailer up. I don't know if this gonna really be a new movie or not, but it's not really a movie, it's a series, it's a new series with episodes. And people are saying, where's the movie? Well, it's coming, and that's why we're about to show the trailer. But the Yaqubian theory is that black people basically created white people in a laboratory because we wanted to experience evil. We wanted to see what it was like for evil to come onto the earth. We was experimenting with evil. Let's hear it from their words, though. And we'll hear it from Farrakhan's words, because he has a lecture where he actually teaching about it. So we'll check all of that out. Let's do it.
So I'm gonna pause it there. So this is where we're gonna start the conversation. You have to ask yourself this: when did Caucasian people come on the planet? And this isn't in a way to be racist or whatever people want to call it. It's just, it gets to the point where it really gets annoying. We're talking about how people came on the planet. We're talking about creation. Okay. First and foremost, we're not talking about it from a negative standpoint, from a we don't like white people standpoint, black people this, black people that, and like this dude said, to create evil. That wasn't it. But what's going to happen is when he shows this trailer, the trailer is cut and dry. Now, this happened a while ago. We're going past the 6,600 year mark. Okay. The first book of the Bible, Genesis, is dated 4004 BC. And that's 6,000 plus years ago. Okay. Now, that's always been a question. Now, when you look at it from a global perspective, then you'll have a way better idea when you look at it from a global perspective. It's 7 billion people on the planet. Out of that 7 billion, how many billions of people do you think are actually original people? China got the biggest population on the planet. China's about 1 billion plus people just on their landmass. So that's 1 billion out of the 7 right there. Then you got the Middle East. Then you got the continent of Africa. The whole continent of Africa. 58 countries, if I'm not mistaken. 58, 59 countries. 98, 99% Black. Then you got Central and South America. Okay. So that right there covers 85% of the population, 85% of the continent, landmass. Then you got Europe and America. Over here, at that time, the Native Americans were here. So they were here before anybody else got here. They got sent over here because they are real Indian people, meaning they are from the continent of India. See, at one point, this whole landmass was one big piece of land, and you can walk from one spot to the next. You didn't have to take no boats, no planes, none of that stuff. Okay. Then what started happening? On the fault lines of the earth, the crust started changing up and cracking, and it started expanding land. Land started disappearing. I know y'all heard the story of Atlantis. Now take Atlantis and then take the Atlantic Ocean. So what do you think was in that 9,000-mile area of water? At one point, it was probably land. So, and they say Atlantis is an underwater city now, but that's a whole nother story. Indians were over here. So the only place on the earth you got left where anybody would be inhabiting anything is what we call Europe now. That one point was called Eurasia. This was called West Asia. Everything from the Middle East on over was called East Asia. Hence the term Asiatic that gets used a lot by the Nation of Islam. Okay. Now, taking all of that into consideration, and the majority of those places are what you will want to call people of color as a title. I'm just using it as a title. Okay. Not a distinction, not a label, nothing like that. We're just using it as a quote unquote title for this particular video. All of those continents had people of color on them. So that probably equals up to at least 6.5, 7 billion of the people on the planet. Excuse me. Now, the only people that were in Europe were Caucasians. Now, this isn't anything like I told you, but they were the only people that were there. If we were there at one time, then we were probably the original inhabitants of that land. And I do got a book called Ancient and Modern Brits, but that's a whole nother story as well. So that means we outnumber Caucasian people 11-1. Okay, so that makes us the majority on the planet. We're called the minority here. All right. Because it just happened to be more of them here than us. Now, the best way for me to put it is, how did you get there when you're not native to anywhere on the planet? You don't have a native land. You don't have a place where you actually say that you come from. Now, I do remember, according to history, you had the Greek Isles, you had the islands out there in the Aegean Sea. Greeks, the Romans. Okay, so it wasn't a lot of y'all. You know, y'all was landlocked in. You couldn't go over here. You couldn't go over there. You was landlocked in until the 15th century, pretty much. Okay. You wasn't going anywhere. Now, this is historically speaking, you know, there's books that's talking about this. You can watch Game of Thrones. It talks about this. Okay. It was a dark age, a 2,000-year period where you were talking about Neanderthals and people being in caves. This is just the history. So, but how did you get there is the question. So our brother here, kind of wants to make fun of the whole thing and say it's like what did he say? A Frankenstein story. Well, what Frankenstein did with what the scientist did is he took different parts from people that he knew and put together somebody so he would have a friend, because he didn't have any friends. Did nobody like him. And plus he wanted to prove to the people that he could create something and bring it to life. And that's what he did. But he couldn't control his Frankenstein. And see, he gonna get more offensive this type of stuff in the video. But I want y'all to pay attention to the way that he talks and how he articulates himself, not like in a way that like he can't speak or anything. I'm just like the way he expresses himself and how he talks about the people who came up with the theory. Like it's a whole bunch of rigmarole, but the thing that you don't, the thing that just don't dawn on people. And hold on, I'm gonna get close. I'm gonna get close and let y'all know. White people are actually here. Let me say that one more time. Hold on. White people are actually here. So explain that one to me. Such a story. But see, you about to watch the trailer now. Watch the look on his face when you watch the trailer. Watch.
They shape nations and destinies.
What brings you here, son?
I believe he has an idea he would like to present to the gods. Go ahead with your proposal.
Inside every man, there are two forces, a strong one and a weak one.
Look at his face.
If the weak could be made stronger,
he think it's
it
funny.
could create a new kind of man.
Do y'all hear this? Let's listen.
You are too young to speak of such dangerous things.
Listen,
Yakub, this knowledge is forbidden. Separation of the germs is the way of rebellion.
One must rule, and the other must follow.
What will this do, besides cause mischief and the shedding of blood?
Look at his
son?
face.
And I'm gonna tell y'all why this is dangerous for our people, right? It's dangerous for our people, right? Because it blames us for creating evil. That's why I put a poll up. This the second poll, but everyone, we seem to be on the same page. It's harmful, and white people never push back at this. White people would push back at everything else, but they will not push back at the out of Africa theory, which says we was first. They won't push back at the Yakubian theory, which says we created them. Why?
So you ask why. You ask why they won't push back? Because they know it's the truth. They won't push back because they know it's the truth, and it's not saying anything bad about them. See, let me break something down right quick, okay? I'm not getting off into no political stuff, but the system of racism, white supremacy, the system, okay? The minister talks about worlds and systems. The system of racism, white supremacy on the planet Earth where the minority on the planet took control of the majority on the planet. That could not be done in any way, shape, or form without God's permission. Y'all didn't hear me? That couldn't have happened in any way, shape, or form except for by God's permission. Genesis. Same thing in Quran. That little boy was brought before what was considered at that time the circle of the gods. And he said he had an idea. After playing with 2 pieces of steel, just playing as a child, and seeing that one steel attracted the other piece, he came up with an idea. Now, let me make it clear when I say he came up with the idea, he didn't come up with the idea. It was predetermined that he was going to do this. And the creator knew he was going to do this. So he, the God, the creator, the Most High, he allowed for that to happen. Okay? So the idea really wasn't Yakub's. Guess whose idea was? It was God saying, you know what? It's time for the truth to be known. For one, it's time for, I'm going to bring out of the original man the rest of the human race, the rest of the human family. Not to create evil, but in the sense of it hurting the world or whatever, but it brought forth what was already in us specifically, brought that out, gave the complete opposite of who we are, what they call form and expression. People. So the Japanese people and the Chinese people and what you call the Caucasian all came from the original man. They all came from the original man. It's just that simple. You can get the recessive from the dominant, but you can't get the dominant from the recessive. Now, let me ask y'all a question. Y'all know the difference between an orange and a lemon, right? The lemon is grafted from the orange. So that makes the lemon devil. Okay. Now, devil doesn't necessarily mean evil. In this case, we're talking scientifically. In this case, it means something grafted from the original. You ever wonder where white lab mice came from? You ever wonder where brown squirrels came from? Now, I know y'all seen white tigers. Y'all have seen what was another one? It's another one. It's another animal. I'll think of it in a minute. But they all have darker counterparts. I don't know if you ever seen any black squirrels. I'm from the Midwest. We see black squirrels and brown squirrels. Okay. The mice that we see is gray, but the mice that they have in the laboratories are white. Have you ever asked yourself that? Go look that up. See why they do experiments on white mice and not brown mice. Same nature, different color. So we are not responsible for bringing evil on the planet. What he's trying to do, what he can't do is he can't quote the supreme wisdom. The supreme wisdom lessons explains everything. When you become a registered member of the Nation of Islam, you get what's called supreme wisdom lessons. After you answer your student enrollment, you get your first lesson. And that lays bare everything that needs to be known about what your actual duty is as a civilized person now. You've walked into the classroom of God. It's just that simple. Now, the reason why I can explain this to you is because I have a whole lot of friends of mine that are members of the Nation of Islam. I, as well, am a member of the Nation of Islam. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because we say that don't mean we don't study the Bible. That don't mean we don't go to church. We haven't been to church. Most of us grew up in the church. That was our first connection to God. We grew up in the church. It was just that the Bible wasn't given to us in a proper manner. It wasn't explained in the right way. Some people made it kind of spooky, you know. And the spookier it got, the more it scared the people away. See, something can be spooky without giving the proper explanation. Now, they say some things are meant to be taken literal, and then some things are meant in the figurative sense, explaining something, explaining the behavior of something, explaining how something looks, so on and so forth. Okay. So knowing this, it would be silly for anybody to say that we don't believe in God. I mean, the same God of the Bible, same God of the Quran. It's a chapter in the Quran called The Cave, talking about the people of the cave. This ain't being disrespectful to nobody. It's just flat out truth. Revelation. They call it revelation. It was revealed before 1930. Nobody was talking about this. You didn't know. They didn't know why they was stuck off in Europe all of that time. They had no idea. The educated among them, they knew because they were taught. You had some who were taught and some who weren't. The ones who weren't were the ones that stayed wild. The ones who were taught are the ones that you learn from today. The Pope, rabbis, all of these people, these were taught people. Rabbi means teacher. So that means in order for you to be a teacher, you had to be taught by somebody. Jesus was called rabbi. So who did he get taught by? You see what I'm saying? So getting back to the Yaqub thing, though, it was a determined idea, his idea. It was God's idea coming through him. It's time for me to bring forth other people out of this man. And that's what happened. Everybody can trace their race back to a certain thing, not your ethnicity, not the country you lived in, not the city you lived in, not the landmass you lived on. We're not talking about that. whole lot deeper than Italians in Italy and Australians in Australia, a whole lot deeper than that. We're not talking about no nationalism here. We're just talking about flat out creation, period. So this Yakubian story got him so messed up. But that's revelation that was revealed to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Before that, didn't nobody know. Didn't nobody know. So when we see them, we see us. Now, he said a little bit later in the video that he was like, man, I done seen some Negroes, quote unquote, do some of the worst things in the world. You know, they evil, you know, all of this and all that. I mean, of course. I mean, you don't think that we've all strayed away from God, pretty much. Those goons you talking about, you know, those thugs, those killers y'all always talking about. Man, I'm from the streets. Those dudes from the streets, the same type of streets that we all was in at one time, that we all seen a little bit of at one time. You're not saying anything different. You just don't like the explanation. But what's yours? How do you think they got here? Let's see if he's going to talk about how he thinks they got here. I want to hear how he think it happened. Come on, let's go. Watch this.
Think about this. Anything evil that the white man does is our fault. We created this thing. And that's what Farrakhan said in one of his lectures. He said, it's doing what we created it to do. We created the white man to throw our babies to alligators. We created the white man to grape our women. We created the white man to castrate our men. We created the white man to break up the family household. We created the white man to create famine, warfare, drought, disease. Do you want all of that on your ancestors?
Okay. Wow. Hey, look, I mean, I can understand why he feel the way he do. I mean, I can understand it. I mean, you see how he looked, you see the look on his face. You know how he was just like, are you trying to tell us? So obviously, this might be his first time hearing about this. Obviously, this might be his first time even taking it into consideration and thinking about it. But the whole point of it is the white man is here. Now, all the stuff that he's doing brings me to my second point. Everything on the planet has a nature, no matter what it is. It has something that it naturally does, no matter where it's at, no matter what. We talking about everything in nature, from the ant to the zebra, from A to Z, and that includes humans. Okay. So since we got a nature, the thing that we do according to our nature makes us who we are. Case in point. Humans reproduce. That's a part of our nature. Men being attracted to women, women being attracted to men, real man being attracted to. Now, this ain't saying nothing about nobody else. I'm just saying real man having a real attraction to a woman. That's a man's nature. Woman having an attraction to a man. That's a woman's nature. Naturally, those are things that happen. Now, if we kill the spirit of those things with how we treat each other, then that's on us. Okay? But we all got a nature. I got a cat and a dog right here in the same house. Cat has a nature, dog has a nature. They both do kind of similar things that animals do, but for the most part, they're two totally different species, but they have a nature. So, the black man has a nature, the brown man has a nature, Japanese, the yellow man has a nature, Chinese, the Caucasian has a nature, the white man. We all have a nature. Now, our nature is supposed to lean more towards peace, which, if left alone and left to our own devices and allowed to do what we really need to do, then yeah, we would be at peace. Wouldn't be no question about that. Okay. The rundown list that he gave, I can understand why that would bother him, but we didn't create the white man to do all of that. We didn't create him to do all of that. In Genesis, it said he was created to rule. And he was given dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every creeping thing that crawl on the planet. So he had dominion over it. So since you had dominion, you had power and control. So that meant you were the god of that realm at the time. Person with force and power. So since you got force and power, you create. And you do different things with that force and power. Sometimes you can do good things. Sometimes you can do bad things. But who's responsible for what they do at the end of the day? The person or the people who done it, right? Cool. So everything that he said on that list has been done by the Caucasian European throughout history, throughout the history of this last 6,000 years. But what was going on before he got created? Who was on the planet before he got created? Do you think the same type of stuff was happening at that time with us? Or were we a righteous people who weren't doing those type of things? That part of the history you don't know. They probably don't want you to know that part of the history, because if you found that part out, then you would probably want to take some stuff from that and try to bring it into the present tense to bring about some peace. But our nature is of a peaceful nature. You know the reason why you got savages out here, quote unquote? The reason why you got these savages out here is because a savage is one who has lost the knowledge of themselves and are living the life of a beast. What's the definition of a beast? Let's go to this book. We're going to get the definition of a beast real quick, because let's see. Okay, the name beast. To call a person a beast is to simply say, according to the English language, according to the English language, nouns, violent person, berserker, demon, fiend, shaitan, or Satan, or dragon, evil, spirit, Satanus, devil, diable, iblis, Azazel, Abaddon, Apollyon, the prince of devils, the prince of darkness, the prince of this world, the prince of the power of the air, the wicked one, the evil one, the arch enemy, the arch fiend, the devil incarnate, the father of lies, the author and father of evil, the serpent, the common enemy, the angel of the bottomless pit. Those are the nouns. Then you got adjectives. But the above explanation of beasts, when applied to human beings or people in general, according to Roget's International Thesaurus, the so-called American Negro have and still suffer under such brutish treatment from, at this time, the American Christian white race who call themselves followers of Jesus and his God. Now, this is what was happening back then. Okay, but this is the nature. This is the nature of a people. Now, can you change your nature? I mean, can you just go inside yourself and just change everything naturally about you? Do you have to change your way of thinking in order for you to change your nature? Do you have to change the way you look at the world and how you react to the things that go on in the world in order for you to change your nature? How do you change your nature? So before we get into any more of this video, I want to explain something. The nature of a thing comes from its environment. Okay? Ants, they usually live underground. They only come up when they need to. Birds, they fly. Groundhogs, they burrow under the ground. Wolves, they prowl around until they find some prey. Foxes do the same thing. Everything has a nature. Everything has activities in that nature. Their environment dictates that nature at some point. If they stay in it long enough, that's why they call it habitats for animals for the most part. So, if the animal has a nature that it's born into, when wolves and all kinds of other animals, bears and elephants and lions, and when they have children, the children are born with a nature. They're born with a nature that can't be denied. So let's just say, for instance, and we're just going to say for instance, so we'll be able to wrap our heads around this a little bit better. And this is just part one. What if the story of Yaqub is actually true? Now, we know that the white man is here, right? And that's not saying nothing bad, but he's here. We see him every day. All of those things he explained in that part of the video, those were acts that were done. Now, were those acts done according to his nature, or because he wanted to do those acts, because he just wanted to be evil? In order for you to understand that, you got to dig a little bit more into the people or the person that we're talking about. That's all. Everybody knows what history is. Everybody knows there are things that have happened in history that can't be explained, that can be explained. But the things that human people do with their own hands, it usually has a story that goes with it. The Holocaust has a story that goes with it. The Iraqi war has a story that goes with it. The way everything happened through a set of circumstances, consequences, and choices that we make. So let's just say, for instance, this Yaqub thing is really true. So what do you think it would take to make another people, not once, not twice, but 3 times? 3 times, 200 years apart, What do you think it would take for that to happen? What kind of environment do you have to create? Now, he said a laboratory. I'm going to give you one better. We're going to talk about a whole island. A whole island. You know, most islands can be 1 million square feet. I mean, square miles or more. How many square miles do you think will comfortably accommodate 60,000 people? How many square miles do you think it'll take to do that? Square miles of island. This is an island in the Aegean Sea, the island of Patmos. What kind of environment do you think Yaqub had in order for this to happen? Do you think he would have to have a whole system set up where everybody had a part that they had to play and that you couldn't let them deviate off of that part, not one step? Because if you do, you could possibly mess up the process and then they out of here. Where do you think eugenics came from? You ask yourself that. Now, the way the brother was talking to the dude that he was talking to on the actual live, he was talking to him greasy. I mean, he was really making him look really bad. I think he was either trying to do it on purpose or felt like he had something to prove. I don't know. But he was talking bad to him. And I mean, the video itself is about 6 hours long. So I'm breaking this whole video down. And some of the stuff this guy says will make you wonder what kind of individual would do. That's why the title of this video is called Haters and Perpetrators Posing as Intellectuals. And he was talking about the minister and how he was talking all kinds of stuff. We're going to get to that. We're definitely going to get to that part. But hold on, we're going to go back to him because, see, you know, he feels some type of way about this. He really feels some type of way about this, to the point to where, you know, he actually has a problem with the whole concept. See, you know, putting that on, you know, how would you want somebody to put that on your people? But see, God is the one who allowed it to happen. So are you mad at him? Or are you just mad at the nation? I mean, take it to prayer, take it up with him and see what he tells you. See if he blesses you with some insight on that, some wisdom, give you some understanding on that. But to make it seem like we're saying that just because we want to say that we created evil, no, bro. That was divinely done in both the Bible and the Quran. That was divinely done. You see, this don't necessarily got anything to do with people specifically. This revelation was given to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad by Allah, who came to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi, the one who was coming to set justice in the earth. Okay, we believe, you know, there's a prophecy in the Bible where God said he was going to visit himself to see if the cry that he heard from heaven was altogether what it actually was. And I'm just paraphrasing. So since he said that, do you think he's going to come down? Or did you think that was, you know, just something he was saying? I mean, do the creator of the heaven and earth look like they play when they say stuff like that? I mean, if he said he was going to come down and he's God, what is he going to come down in? Is he going to come down looking like an elephant? He going to come down looking like your best Disney, your best friend Disney character made up superhero Vision, Green. I mean, what do you think he was going to come down? How do you think he was going to come? Now, he said he created man after his image, in his image and after his likeness. That's what he said. He fashioned him from the dust of the earth, or black mud formed in the shape, and then breathed into that of his inspiration. And that became a living soul that he called Adam. That's what he said. So what did you think he just did? He made a house for himself, right? That's what he did. He made a house and he breathed into that house of his inspiration. So a part of him is in us. So he said he was going to come down. Did he come down in the time of Moses? I mean, Abraham said he seen him. Moses said he seen him. There was plenty of prophets in the Old Testament that was calling on the power of God, and God was coming through every time. And people that done seen him face to face. So if that's the case, you know, if he's coming in the best of modes. And the best mode on the planet is the human being. That's the best mode. So why wouldn't he come down in that and make himself known? We're just talking about how the Spirit of God can encompass an actual body. So don't you think he knew what he was talking about when he gave this revelation to the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? I mean, I think he knew what he was talking about. But you know the crazy part? And this is the crazy part about it. Just the fact that somebody was going to come and break the civilization of Satan, of the Caucasian, because those are titles. Those are natures. This ain't about name calling. This ain't about talking about nobody like that in particular. This is just about how the white man got here on the planet. Where did he actually come from? Ask some of them, they probably couldn't even tell you. But some of them know. They won't tell you that they know, but they know. So this environment that I was talking about, this environment was an environment of rules and regulations. There were roles that people played that had to do with childbirth, child rearing, putting people together in relationships, people having children. So this was a whole operation to create what we call races on the planet today. First 200 years, you had a brown man. That's the Japanese. Before the Japanese were made, it was black people in the area where Japan is. So at one point, this whole globe was nothing but black people. You think he just made 2 or 3 families? You think the earth just been here for a couple million years? Lucy, 3 million years old, right? 3 million. Everybody on the planet Earth has her mitochondrial DNA. Black woman from Africa. But guess what? She had a mother and father. We're more than 3 million years old. We've been here for we have been here since the beginning. I know it's hard for you to wrap your head around. We've been here since the beginning. I'm sorry, bro, Sanchez. We've been here since the beginning. And everything that came after God created us came from us. Now, if you don't understand it, if you don't understand the scheme of it, if you don't understand it in the right perspective, my suggestion to you would be to study the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. You don't have to be a member of the Nation of Islam to get the books. Where are you scared? Is it just going to seem too far-fetched to you? I mean, they called Jesus crazy, didn't they? They was like, how can he come in here and say all this stuff that he's saying he has no letters? Who gave him the authority? What did he tell them? God gave me the authority. I'm the last warner to you. I'm the one they was talking about in the Old Testament that was going to come in this time to end the world of Satan. That was his goal. He didn't have no other reason to be here. God didn't create him. He wasn't born on the planet for no other reason but to do that. And we all know that. But he wasn't coming to destroy the world. He was coming to end the world system way of Satan. And he had everybody's attention when he did that, including Satan's. Because see, we think that Satan is just one of those made up things. Some spirit that just jumps into people and make them do evil and then jump out. So if that's the case, then we shouldn't be punished for any of our sins then, right? But where did the evil come from? Do it just pick somebody when it needs to be done? I mean, yeah, I'm going to jump into him real quick because I want him to go ahead on the beat old boy up right quick and hit him with the bottom. And then he going to jump out of him. And then all of a sudden he going to be like, man, what'd I just do that for? No, if that dude hit him with the bottle, he knew what he was hitting him for. He knew what he was hitting him for. He wasn't hitting him just to be hitting him. The devil jumped in him for a minute and he just beat the dude up. Then the devil jumped out of him and he like, what? What just happened? I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? Really? No. That's not how that works. That doesn't work that way. That's not how that works. How this works is everything has a nature. That nature can come from environment or it can come from upbringing. So if lying, killing, and stealing were in the nature of the people as they were being created, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? So, like I said, I can understand why he kind of upset, but the way he came off, he ain't really had no reason to come off like that. You see what I'm saying? But watch, we gonna keep on watching.
Think about it. 100 years from now, if let's say hypothetically speaking, the Yakub theory gets popular and starts to become big. And 100 years from now, when people want to know how the world gets so evil, they start with black folks being first, then there was no evil in the world. And then black folks decided, let's do an experiment, man. I wonder what it'll be like to introduce evil into the world for no reason, just to see what it's like.
Listen to me.
Why do you want to see what's evil like? It's called evil.
Stupid.
I
You
don't
see
gotta
that?
see. That's like me telling y'all, I want to go see what this evil man is like. Lock me in a room with him.
You see that? That's what I'm talking about. You calling people stupid and all of this stuff, but see, you're expounding on that part of it. You're expounding on the. You're expounding on the. They just wanted to create people to just be evil. No, and see now this is what I mean by being stuck off in spookism. Because some people have a tendency to believe that the people in the Bible, I don't know what they think people in the Bible were, but they were real people who lived in real cities in the Middle East. Okay. Real people. Not no made up people. Real human beings. He just feels some type of way about it. Brother Ben X, you did a hell of a job, brother. You did a hell of a job on that explanation, because this is the type of conversation it's supposed to spark right now. But it got this brother in his feelings. Look at his face. Bless his heart. Look at him. You know what I'm saying? Bless his heart. Listen. I know how it could be. I know how it could be. I know how it can be. Seriously. You know what I mean? I'm just going to put it like this. I might have to go ahead and send the brother this video just so he can get a better grasp of it. But because it seemed to me like he got really offended. And he's wondering to himself, like, man, why would black people want to create evil? Now, do you have a belief in God at all, period? Because God did two things. The first thing in the Bible he did was he created a man. And he called him Adam. Adam named the angels. Adam gave the angels their names because the angels didn't know what their names was. Adam got put in the best part of the earth with his woman that was made for him. And they could do whatever they wanted to do. Just don't touch this tree over here. Don't touch that tree. Leave it alone. Y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. This is y'all area. Y'all can do it. And on top of that, I'm gonna come down here and spend some time with y'all. Whenever y'all want me, just call on me. I'll come. In the Quran, it said, God made man from black mud formed in the shape. Breathed into him, and he became a living soul and made his mate in the same form and fashion. And they get together and multiply on the earth. But then he said, I'm going to place a ruler in the earth. Just like when he get into it, we're going to get into it. I'm going to have to fast forward past this because the brother looked like he kind of, you know, saying like disturbed by, bless his heart. Listen, he feel like he kind of disturbed by this one, but I can understand why, especially if this is your first time hearing it. You know, whatever your profession used to be and you was around these people and you looking at them like, you know, let's get back to it. Bless his heart.
He's an evil man. You don't got to see what he's like. The word tells you what he is. You gotta touch a hot stove to know that it's hot. Why do I need to manifest evil in a human form and see what it's gonna do? It's gonna be evil.
Stupid.
Listen.
Duh.
Listen to him. Look at him.
And once it be evil and go against your people, and you stand up there and say, we got to rise up against this white man. Now we mad at the thing that we made for being what it was, what it is.
Now you heard what he said, right? We mad at the thing for being what it is. That, my brother, is what we call nature. The things that were done under this system of racism, white supremacy, came out of the mind and heart of these people. But it wasn't all of them. But they all knew about the system, and they all knew how the system was going to work for them and how they were going to keep everybody else out. So step number one would be to conquer the people that are the biggest population on the earth. Go to each place on the planet, conquer and colonize the land. Now, that was given as an order in 1493, 6 months after Christopher Columbus came back. And I'm going to pull up what it was called real quick, just so you can really understand what I'm talking about. Because, see, I be doing research. See, I be waiting. I wait for stuff like this to come up. You know, because I do my research on it. Okay, so it's called the Intercatera, issued on May 4th, 1493, a few months after Columbus's return. Now, Columbus was a half original man. Okay, this was the way that the colonizers were able to get into the lands of the people, darker people, by using half original, half Spanish people. So these people got a complexion. They have a little bit of melanin in them, so they can mosey on in somewhere, and people might look at them, but they ain't gonna look at them like, yeah, who is that? They're gonna be like, oh, he knew. I ain't never seen him before, and keep on moving. He was half original, half Spanish. What do you think a lot of the people were from Mexico all the way down to the beginning of South America? When the Portuguese, when the Spanish came over here, how do you think they got here? This is the Intercatera, the historical context of the Intercatera, the age of discovery and a rivalry of Iberian powers. You can look this up yourself. After Columbus' 1492 voyage, supported by Ferdinand and Isabella, the same Ferdinand and Isabella that got killed in 1917, that started World War I. Do your history. Spain claimed expansive new territories across the Atlantic. Portugal, already active along the African coast, felt that Spanish claims might infringe upon Portuguese interests. There was a competition and uncertainty about how to divide rights to lands discovered by Europeans. So this is what he's talking about. You know, why are we making evil? Well, this was something that they came up with. This was something that they wanted to do. They were the royalty that ruled the lands at this time. And this Inakatera said, you know what? If they aren't gonna do what we want them to do, if they're not gonna bow down and accept Christianity, and this was during the time that Rome was still kind of in power, but at this time the country started pretty much taking their power back and putting their people, you know, in the positions of power. This was in the 15th century, 1400s. Okay. Now, this is the Inakatera. It begins by affirming that it pleases God that the Catholic faith and the Christian religion be everywhere increased and spread, that the health of souls be cared for, and that barbarous nations be overthrown and brought to the faith itself. It grants to the Spanish monarchs all islands and mainlands found and to be found, discovered and to be discovered towards the west and the south, with a demarcation line, a line 100 leagues towards the west and south from any of the islands commonly known as the Azores and Cape Verde. Lands west of that are to be in Spain's sphere of influence. It prohibits other Christian princes from approaching or occupying lands west of that line without Spanish permission. So see, they're carving up the world now. This is what we're going to do. And we're going to go and take over. Now, he's kind of upset that we created a man that would do something like this. But that was the plan. That was the plan. The plan was, I'm going to place a ruler in the earth. What are you going to place in it except that which causes mischief and the shedding of blood, which is what was said. Let's see if he get to it, because he's just so upset about the story itself that I might have to fast forward through this, so y'all gonna have to rock with me, okay?
It's evil. We didn't know what it was going to be. Let's just see if we can manifest these evil beings and see what they do. Sir, they're going to do evil. They're evil beings. Well, if they do evil, we got to stop it. Why did you start it? You see, I don't want my ancestors to be blamed for someone else's immoral behavior. You see what I'm saying? That's right. Them people are evil and we didn't make them that way. We ain't got nothing to do with them folks, man. Why y'all doing that, NOI? Why is the NOI doing this to their people? Bro, we ain't got nothing to do with that. We don't know where them people come from, right? Or listen, leave us out of that, man, okay? Right. Leave us out of that, bro.
Okay, now he's saying leave us out of that. He blaming the NOI for that. Nah, brother, you can't blame us for that. You can't blame. You can't blame for that. Now, I love my Christian brothers and sisters. I really do. I love the Christians that are trying to live the life that Jesus wants them to live. Okay. I don't know about all this other stuff that's going on. I look at it and I'm like, yeah. But I love my Christians. no matter what denomination. And the reason why I took a minute to think about that, because it really did dawn on me. You know what I'm saying? I love people who really do believe in God and got faith in themselves and in Him to help them through whatever they're going through and to help them be successful, because God does want you to be successful. But all that other stuff, I'm not with that. But he's just upset about this because this is his first time hearing it. Because he like, man, I done seen what these people done, and I done seen how they done treated, done been around the world, and you trying to say we made them? You try to put that on us? Man, leave us out of that, bro. We ain't got nothing to do with that. No, but you do. You don't specifically. But as a people, we do. We really do. Now, Mendel said you can get the recessor from the dominant, but not the dominant from the recessor. Dr. Leakey from England, archaeologist, decided that he wanted to try and find the origin of man. Go look him up. He started digging in Europe, and everybody that he was able to excavate and test the bones, if they was find them in fields, if they would go somewhere, do some excavating and find that some people lived there, might have been a old spot where somebody buried their dead and the people started either dying off or decided they was going to move somewhere else. So they left the remains where they were and they moved somewhere else. And he found those remains. Every time he tested those remains, they were 6,000 years old. Couldn't get past the 6,000 mark. As far back as he goes, probably 6,600, maybe. But 6,000. First trip to Africa. First set of bones he found. 700,000 plus years old. Called him Zinj Anthropus. Zinj meaning black, Anthropus meaning man. Africa. So that kills the 3 million year mark right there. But my brother, this was a revelation that was revealed to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. If you're not scared, and I'm just saying, if you're really not scared and you really want to understand, you got to look at this from a God perspective. Because only God and humans have the ability to create. Everybody else procreates. Everything else procreates. We have the ability to create. The groundhog can't make anything new. The bird can't make anything new. The skunk, the squirrel, the dog, excuse me, the cat, they can't make anything. They can just procreate. We create. Once we procreate and that new human being comes, anything that comes out of the mind of that human being, that really came from God. That human being was just transported, brought to the earth, protected, nurtured, and cared for by that woman, which makes her that much more special to bring that forth. We create. So since we create everything, including each other. It's all by God's permission. I mean, if you, I'm just saying, if you are not scared, you have to look at this. You have to look at this from God's perspective. Okay, so calm down with the NOI rhetoric, okay? Because we don't call this rhetoric, because this is actual fact. This is truth. There is no other way that any of the people that you see on this planet could have gotten here without us. So what is your explanation? Since you don't want to have nothing to do with it, okay, that's cool. But you can't run away from this one, bro. I'm sorry. You kicked the door open. Brother Ben was just making the informative video, telling the truth. Use the AI, brilliant idea. Absolutely brilliant idea. That got this brother riled up. But let's get back to him. I'm gonna be on him for a minute, y'all. This my first long form video. I got my materials ready. We gonna get in. We getting it in tonight.
Because now you blaming us on that. All right. Yeah, man, black folks the one created them. And they've been, and look at how evil these people is. You're saying the weaker force that was already in black people was grafted into the white man, which is, you're saying that when we look at all of the evil that the white man doing, is really a reflection of the weaker force that's in every black person. Bro.
No. Let me correct you on that. First off, let me go back to this part real quick. Hold on.
Oh, that is so racist. It's crazy.
Hold on.
You're saying the weaker force that was already in black people was grafted into the white man, which is, you're saying that when we look at all of the evil that the white man doing, is really a reflection of the weaker force that's in every black person.
No. Let me correct you on that. The germs that we're talking about, the life germs in us, you got a dark germ or a black germ, and you got a brown one. The brown one was grafted to its weakest, quote unquote. They call it, but it's last stage. The last stage was what you see in the Caucasian people. Now, all of them didn't necessarily have, no, let me take that back. I ain't even gonna say that. The nature in which they were created under, okay, is a part of who they are. So we're not, how he just said it, that's not what that's a, I can understand why people would look at it like they do when he's explaining it like this. Okay. What we say is, when you look at the evil that the white man do, first of all, you can't blame him for that specifically, because that's his nature. Secondly, what was in us, okay, what was in us as a, not necessarily you could say a defect. Everything comes with parts that they don't use. you know, the brown germ was considered the dust because it didn't really have no use. It was just there. Okay. It got grafted to the last stage, its weakest stage. And when you see the things that they do, understand that that is something that's in us as well. So once we start seeing that in us, we should pump our brakes. Once we see that, that should make us reflect on who we are. Okay. So you see your homeboy out here acting a fool, doing whatever, robbing, stealing, stick ups, multiple women, whatever you want to call it. He just out here wilding. That's what we call it. He's just out here, doing the most or whatever, being half a savage, whatever you want to call it. Where did he get that from? Did he learn that from somewhere, or was that just a part of who he was? That he just grew up one day and just was like, you know what, this is what I want to do. So no, not to look at us, but to be able to see. We need to, it's a reflection. Just like the most honorable Elijah Muhammad put the mirror up to them when he started calling them the quote unquote devils after he found out how they were made. He said that was a demonstration of putting the mirror up to the face of the person who's doing what they're doing. So I'm able to tell you about all of this stuff that happened already that you've done, while you're telling me that I'm worthless. But look at what you've done. You're calling me worthless, but you've been killing us. You've been lynching. So he took everything that he did and he put it back in his face. But he was telling us, look, you can't blame the clay. You have to look at the potter. So you want to understand what's really going on, you have to look at what's going on with the potter. What was going on with Yakub? Why did he feel that way? Well, we know it was a predetermined idea. Now we know to bring out of us, to pull out of us the exact opposite and give it form and expression. And then it's on the earth now. So when we see the things that's going on with him, no, we ain't gonna do that, bro. We ain't even doing that. But some people doing it though, ain't they? Which is what he about to start talking about here soon. If he can get past this.
Bro, that is so race. Let me not say that R word they sent
racist, no.
But that is so aces.
It's not. It's not.
Man.
It's not.
To say that about your people, bro.
He in his feelings.
It's crazy.
He in his feelings.
Anything them people do wrong, I gotta look in the mirror and say, that comes from me. Why I got to be? That's that's dangerous, bro. Every group of people that's doing wrong, that's on them. Ain't nobody, bro. It ain't no. You can't nobody blame nobody else for their own immoral behavior. But the NOI is literally an anti-black group. They don't do nothing. They gotta be police.
Now you see, this is what I'm talking. Police? What, bro? I don't know where you from. I'm gonna find out where you from. Let me see if I can find out where you from. Oh my god! Let me see if I can find out where he from, boy. Because you really have to be all the way out of your absolutely ever-loving mind, seriously, to even think that you My brother had to comment on that. I don't know where this dude is from. Where is this dude from? Let me go to this page. Hold on. Where are you? So the schools mainstream. Fibonacci spiral, huh? Okay, hold on. Unless it's hard, boy. Sacred geometry. Now look, this is what he's into. Look at what his page says. Ancestral knowledge, sacred geometry, inspiration, cosmology, synchronism, and humor. Syncretism and humor. So now we know the reason why he's doing what he's doing, but at the same time, let me go back to the video.
Every group of people that's please.
Now we know why he's looking at this stuff like he's looking at it. I think what upsets him the most is the fact that that this actually happened. See, he don't really want to believe it. But it did. And look, this is just the first 10 minutes of the video. This video is 6 hours long. Okay. 7 hours and 30 minutes. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna see. Let me fast forward a little bit. Okay, so
revolution. I've been around a long time. It ain't contributed nothing on behalf of our people. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just another stagnant organization in the black community that's benefiting itself no different than the church, and somebody gotta say it.
But see, you ain't never contributed to it. Benefiting from what? We out in the community every day. Every day. Now, where I'm from, no, we ain't out here like that. But in Indianapolis, we out in the community every day. Brother Nuri Muhammad, he goes through neighborhoods. He talks all over the country. I think he done been some places outside of the country. He goes everywhere talking to our children in schools, elementary schools, middle schools, not nursing homes, but prisons, conferences, wherever we're at, he's talking to us. He's not trying to shove this stuff down nobody's throat. The NOI has never tried to shove anything down anybody's throat to try to make them believe it. The only thing that's been done is the same thing that was done to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad by Master Fard Muhammad Allah in the person of Master Fard Muhammad. He revealed to him some things that had never been revealed before to man. Before 1930, nobody was talking about anything remotely concerning the universe. Remotely. Okay? Remotely. We was just a couple of 100 years out of people thinking that the earth was flat. Just because they could see to the horizon and couldn't see past it, couldn't sail past it, couldn't do nothing past it, but just can get to these different land masses, but you're not falling off the earth. You think you might be falling, but you're not falling off. When nobody talking about the distance from the sun, when nobody looking at the sun as the actual center of the universe. Once you look at the sun as the center of the universe, then you measure the distance of each planet from the sun. Who's going to know that but God? Who's going to know the circumference of the universe but God? Who's going to know how many square miles of water and land is on the earth except for God? Said it right there in Habakkuk. He measured the earth and the water. Paraphrasing. As a matter of fact, let me go to it. I can go to it real quick. Because see, we got all of this stuff right here, all of this scared stuff, all of this, talking out of the side of, like you don't understand you don't really understand what you're talking about. You just feeling some type. This is emotionalism. This is being emotional right here. Let's just call it what it is. I know it might make the brother feel some type of way that this is what it is, but this is emotionalism at its finest. So don't let the emotionalism get you to the point to where you just say anything, because you got to explain that. He ain't been explaining nothing too much. He been doing a lot of reacting. He's been doing a lot of reacting, but we're going to fast forward a little bit. Hold on. Let me.
No, that's my little nigga.
Go ahead with your proposal.
Stagnant organization in the black community that's benefiting itself no different than the church, and somebody got to say it.
You said stagnant. Then yeah, right. Okay.
A bunch of mythologies and fairy tales that get our people more behind. Gives the enemy a out. I ain't got nothing to do with the white man's evil. My people ain't create that goddamn white man, bro. Don't put that on us, man.
That's right. He look at his face. Look at his face, though. Let me bless his heart, bro. Look at his face. Look, he's really upset. I mean, like, he's really upset. Look at his face. Don't put that on us, bro. Put what on you? Ain't nobody trying to put nothing on you. You ain't the. You probably ain't. Nah, you are. Bro, listen. You're a part of the family. Okay? You're a black man. All right? What are you supposed? I mean, but see, it's not on you though. That's the whole point. Nobody's putting nothing on you. What you need to do is you need to pump your brakes for a minute, and you need to look at this from a different perspective. But the last thing that you want to do is just go and start talking about somebody and bashing them. I mean, what do you think that's supposed to do? I mean, listen. I said haters and perpetrators. It's a lot of people out here that hate the truth. Okay? They hate the truth. The truth is like a virus to them. Make them sick. They can't stand it. The truth. I can't listen. I don't like the truth at all, period. But what we do is we hurl truth at falsehood until we knock out his brains. That's what we do. So if this is bothering your narrative of what you think, how you think the world was made, I'm sorry. I don't know how much attention you paid to history while you was in school or geography or anything like that. But if you wasn't trying to tie it together then, I can understand why it kind of like hurt right now to try and tie it in. I can really understand. I can really understand why it would really hurt your feelings. That it's like this right now. I mean, I can really understand it. I mean, what, hold on. I want to listen to something else. Yeah, we gonna be up for a minute, family. Yeah, we gonna be up for a minute on this one. Now he about to watch it again.
Blaming that on us, man. That is the most, and you now I see why the NOI and the KKK working together, and we're gonna point that out in a minute. The unknown partnership of the KKK and Elijah Muhammad, because I've been telling y'all this, but now I found the little 10-minute video that I can review to actually expound more on what I've been telling y'all. Because that's, you know, that's some police stuff. Come on now. And I actually heard Farrakhan say that.
Now he's saying what he heard the minister say. I want to know what you heard the minister say. But before I get to that, this don't got nothing to do with the police, bro. I mean, stop using this. This is my thing. I don't understand why you keep trying to equate this with street stuff. So obviously, you must equate any black man. If you in the street, then I guess you must be authentic. If you're not in the street, then you're not. I'm not in the streets. I was running on the streets. See, it's a difference between being on the streets and knowing what's going on the streets and being in the streets, meaning you running in them. You are part of the stuff that's going on in it. If you, bruh Sanchez, was a part of the stuff that was going on in the street, you know better. And the reason why I say you know better is because you don't call no activity, no police activity that you don't know about. You don't even mess around with no police activity. You stay away from police activity if you in the streets. But you gonna call the truth some police stuff? For what? Who is it getting arrested? Now, I mean, I guess, you know what I'm saying, your development is kind of arrested right now, feeling the way that you feel, acting the way that you acting right now. I guess your development must be kind of arrested right now. But the truth being revealed doesn't have anything to do with that, bro. You know, now I know this emotionalism, man. I don't know what it is with us. I don't know what it is with us, men. You know, these white men, some of these black men, these brown men. You know, our brothers coming from over in the diaspora, coming over here. You know, with this emotionalist stuff. You know, y'all really getting mad that you're getting mad about a story that really has a true meaning to it, because the actual people that we're talking about are actually here on the planet. Why is that so hard for you to wrap your head around? Japanese people are actually here. Chinese people are actually here. Yellow people, white people are actually here. And so what kind of environment, what kind of nature are they going to have? Are they going to have a nature of violence, of stealing, of lying? If they choose to lean towards their nature, that's what it is. But if they choose to lean away from it, that's something different. God recognizes which way you lean your spirit and your will to. He recognizes that. When you don't lean your will towards him, he knows where it's going. He knows where it's going. When you're not trying to be righteous, then you might be trying to cause some devilishment. And black people can be devils too. Don't get it twisted. But we're talking about the making of the white man. We're not talking about we made their nature. We didn't make their nature. That was what was bred in them. By the time they got here, if it was any black people still in the operation, they were probably gone by then. This was a 600-year process, bro. We're not 600 years of baby making, the darker being taken off and the lighter being kept. Now you light skinned, brother. You don't got no problem with your complexion, do you? But I can guarantee you that you talked about somebody darker than you before in your life. I can guarantee that. And you from the South too, so I already know that you done said some stuff about some people darker than you. Even if it was a joke. I'm not saying that you don't like your people. I'm not saying that. But I know you done cracked some jokes about somebody being black. And if you haven't, that'll be a first. And I'm glad you haven't. But you don't need to be getting so wrapped up in your emotions that you're sitting up here talking about that's some police stuff. But let's see what he about to watch. Let's see what he talking about now. Because we gonna fast forward.
We really can't be mad at this devil, something like that, because what we're looking at is like a reflection of us. He come from us like, no, man.
Like, nah, man.
Everybody ain't the same.
Like,
not
nah,
even all,
man. Hold on. He said, like, nah, man. He ain't come from us. Nah. No. Yeah, he did, bro. I mean, it is what it is. Seriously. Let me see something. Go to this history. This video. Oh. Okay, this is the other video he's talking about. Okay. This is called The Unknown History. This is called The Unknown History. Hold on. Hold on, I'm trying to switch. I'm trying to switch over to this other video. Hold on. Hold on, give me a quick second. I might have to stop sharing this one. I'm tripping, family. We're gonna share this one. Now, this is the one where he was talking about this unknown story. Now, this partnership that they was talking about between the KKK and Elijah Muhammad, see, he was trying to explain it from a viewpoint that was going to support his argument. So now we're going to look at it, and I'm going to bring another perspective to it that's going to probably kind of like help you understand where it's coming from actually. Now, when you're dealing with the media, and the way that some of these people are when they do these stories, they're doing it to try and get clicks and likes or whatever, but sometimes their facts and the stuff that they put in here, I don't know where they get it from, if they come up with it on their own, if they're just going to Wikipedia just to pull some stuff out of their rabbit hat real quick and patch something together because of whatever point they're trying to make. We're gonna be able to see all of that. So watch this.
The path towards freedom in the form of finances and overall lifestyle has been made difficult due to a number of specific laws and policies made against Black people. Leaders in the African American community often decided how many people would operate in society, as they were very influential and respected. Elijah Muhammad, who established the Nation of Islam in 1931 alongside Wallace Fard, was such a great leader, and his views on religion and the Black man caused great controversy, both amongst those within the nation over time.
Now, he never called himself Wallace Dodd. Okay. These names that you hear are the names that were given to them by people who said that at one point in time they were a part of their organization, which they weren't. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Fard Muhammad, who revealed himself as W.F. Muhammad when he first revealed himself to the people, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in particular. W.F. Muhammad. Okay. And then after we figured out who he was, we call him Master Fard Muhammad because he is the master. He was a master teacher. He was a master guide. He was a leader. He got together 25,000 people by himself in Detroit, Michigan. And we're gonna keep it a buck. Most people won't even walk through the worst part of their city by themselves without being strapped up. You see what I'm saying? Sliding through, running through red lights, all of that stuff. You don't want to have nothing to do with your own people because you know what they on. You already know that for a fact. Master Fard Muhammad went to Black Bottom, Detroit by himself and came to talk to us about who we are. Came to the downtrodden, rejected, and despised people in 1930, the year after the stock market crash, the year after the Depression started, and was talking to us about doing for ourselves, how to eat to live. I got some of these silks that your brother from the East made. This is what we're doing over there. Why don't let me show you how to do that over here? And then started talking to them about who they were. Wasn't nobody coming to the Black people and talking to them about anything. The church wanted to be in the neighborhood. And the NOI ain't never been like the church. So don't ever get that twisted. The NOI the church don't really steal from the people. Whatever, if the pastor misappropriates some funds, you don't blame that on the church. You blame that on the pastor. And people be calling these pastors poverty pimps. For what? Most of them still living in poverty too. And if they're not, and they're not doing nothing for the church, they're not doing nothing for the people except for some little drives here and there or whatever, then they have to reevaluate their situation. But don't compare the Nation of Islam to no church, because first of all, we ain't went nowhere. We've been here for 95 years. Y'all are the ones who didn't want to have, I'm not going to say have anything to do with us specifically, even though I could put it that way. But y'all were the ones who decided that y'all didn't want to come here. What the message was, y'all was scared of it. It don't fit my life. It don't fit my lifestyle. So I ain't even gonna. I done heard it. I done heard it all. Man, you know, that's just too much for me, man. I don't know. What's that story about that Yakub dude, man? What is that? You know what I'm saying? And then I giggle and laugh at it, and then I look at him, I'll be like, yeah, it is kind of crazy, but there go the white man right there. How do you explain him getting here? And the reason why I keep coming back to that is because when you know something is a lie, usually you can't see any results from it. If it's a lie, then that means there is no truth about it. So there isn't any results. The results are gone. There is none. So therefore, you can't prove a lie. You got to have some proof. You got to have some tangible evidence. How you going to create tangible evidence when you lying? If it's not even a real thing, how are you going to produce something that's not real? If it's a lie, that means you made it up. So once you make it up, then you gotta create it. If you can't create it, it's a wrap. So no, don't associate us with like being the church that ain't done nothing for the community. We've always been there for the community. Just because you don't see us riding through and dropping off bags of clothes and stuff and all types of stuff to people all the time, that don't mean we're not in the community. That don't mean we're not doing nothing in it. The reason why they don't want the nation talking to their children is because they don't want their children to start thinking. They want their children to be programmed and conditioned how they want them to be. Like this dude is. This dude is, he's in some emotional stuff right now. But I mean, I'm not mad at him for being like that. I could understand why he would feel that way. I mean, when you hear the truth for the first time, it does have an effect. But once you really understand what it is, and then you sit back and you like, yeah, I could see why he said that one. He did what? Oh, yeah. Courtesy of my brother Reese Waters. Hey, y'all go check out Reese Waters' page, man. I love that brother. That brother's, yeah, he's doing this thing. But this has nothing to do with being fake. The nation has never been fake. But when you talk about somebody, the least you can do is get the stuff right. So if you're gonna say the man's name, then say his name properly. W.F. Muhammad, not this.
Muhammad, who established the Nation of Islam in 1931, alongside Wallace Fard, was such a...
No, that's not his name. And I'm gonna make sure I say something to hype about this, because if you're gonna have some journalists on your staff doing something concerning the nation, you need to get it right. I could see whose history you're picking up. You went and picked up the FBI's history. You went to the FBI's information and got that. You calling, you know what I'm saying, Allah, the person in Master Fard Muhammad, Wallace Fard. What? Are you serious? I mean, Dr. Wesley already debunked all of that. He already killed all of that, you know, and they don't like when we do the research. They just always beating around the bush, and they just be trying to talk like that. You about to see, I'm about to fast forward it a little bit to the part where he get to talking to this dude who trying to come on. I want y'all to go watch this first part of the video. This is a 7-hour video. Okay. So you might have to break this up into pieces and bits and pieces, but you got to hear all of the stuff this dude is saying. And man, this dude is on one for real. This Yakub video got him like really twisted up. But hold on, watch this stuff.
A great leader, and his views on religion and the black man caused great controversy, both amongst those within the nation over time, as well as those on the outside looking in. A major basis of the beliefs being pushed by Elijah Muhammad was that of being strictly against integration. For Muhammad, the idea was that black people should be self-sufficient as God is black, and so was the first man made in his image. As a tactic to be able to truly prevent integration, Muhammad would eventually turn to an unlikely source in the form of the KKK and white supremacists. The move was heavily scrutinized, and the doubling down of it by Muhammad only placed a greater strain on many who felt that working with these groups under any circumstances was a poor judgment. Many have never heard of this gutsy and groundbreaking move, making it crucial.
Now, what does he mean by working with? What does he mean by working with them? You see, you have to ask yourself these kind of questions because they'll say anything. And then you hear it and you'll be like, what? What? What did he mean by working with them? Okay, so when the Klan heard of the Nation of Islam in the 1930s, and they started following and looking at what we were saying, it lined up with white supremacy for them. Let me make it clear. As a matter of fact, hold that thought. Hold on real quick. So as to go grab me a water. So as I was saying, what do he mean by working with? And them liking what we were talking about lined up with their idea of white supremacy. We don't want to take care of them anyway. We don't want to do this and that anyway. So since we don't want to do all of that, guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to condone anything other than what they're talking about. I like when them nation of them nation of Islam N words say what they say. But we're gonna see what type of working with he was talking about, because I'm kind of curious to hear about this one myself. You know, I already know better, but I like to see what other people have to say, so you can start putting those holes in their story. But I just threw this in because he was talking about it on his video.
Crucial to understand both how and why Elijah Muhammad partnered with the KKK and other white supremacists in the first place, as well as the consequences the decision had for years to come. Elijah Muhammad was born Elijah Poole in Sandersville, Georgia on October 7th, 1897, as the seventh of his parents' 13 children. Having grown up in the South, racism and the subsequent issues that came with it was something Muhammad hoped to escape by moving up north. By his early 1930s, Muhammad had developed strong views on race and religion, thanks greatly to influence of Wallace Dodd Fard, who had changed his name to Wallace Fard Muhammad by this time. These ideas led Elijah to establishing himself as a black separatist, with a strong belief in the black man being the original man and capable of thriving without having integration with a...
Okay, so he called the messenger a black separatist. This is another one of those arguments. This is another one of those discussions that kind of gets under my skin sometimes when it comes to people. Now, being a black separatist is a little bit different, than what they make it out to be. But they call it a black separatist just because he said, look, if they don't want me living around them, I don't care about not living around them. I live over here with my people. I don't have to shop at their stores. I shop over here with my people. I don't have to go to their doctors. I go to my people's doctors. Because they wanted segregation and they wanted it to stay that way. Now, what's the difference between segregation and separation? Let's see. We gonna see. What's the difference between segregation and separation? Segregation and separation both means or both involve keeping people apart, but they are not the same in meaning, intent, or impact. Segregation definition. Segregation is forced or institutionalized separation of people, usually based on race, ethnicity, religion, class, or gender, and is enforced by law, policy, and power structures. So remember when I was talking about that system of white supremacy, racism? It is governed in all 9 areas of people activity. Segregation, racism, white supremacy is the system. Segregation and racism, back then, those were actions within that system. Segregation. Key characteristics: imposed, not voluntary, backed by laws, customs, or institutions, typically creates inequality, rooted in discrimination and dominance, limits access to resources, schools, housing, jobs, voting, etc. Oh, I'm not done. Historical examples: Jim Crow laws in the United States, separate buses, schools, and neighborhoods, redlining, all of that, apartheid in South Africa, racially restricted housing covenants, whites only or colored only facilities. Segregation is about control and hierarchy. Core idea. Separation is simply the act of being or keeping things apart, which can be voluntary, neutral, or practical. Key characteristics: can be chosen or situational, not inherently discriminatory, often based on function, preference, or organization, does not automatically imply inequality. Separate restrooms for men and women, church and state separation, students separated by grade level, people choosing to live in different communities, time separation. So, calling him a black separatist is like telling black people, look, don't move in a black neighborhood. What? Oh, don't move over there. Why? What's it? Oh, okay. Are they do they really act like that over there? Well, what? Nah, I ain't moving over there. I'm good. Okay, cool. Right on for the heads up. So, this is what it means to be separate. Segregation Oh yeah, bro. I'm about to move over here real quick. You know what I'm saying? A couple of blocks over. And I'm gonna holler at you. I'm about to go look at this house. But I can't. I can't go over there. Well, I mean, what? I mean, hold on. They just called me like 10 minutes ago and said they really. They changed their mind. I mean, they just called me. They just called me and told me that. Uh, oh, it ain't enough of us over there on that side of town. It ain't enough of us on that block, so they don't want it. Okay. They kind of want to push they want to push us back a couple more blocks. They want us back farther than what. Oh, okay. So they don't really want us around them at all, huh? Like not at all. Damn. And they did what? They drew up. So we can't cross where the red line is at. Hold on, wait a minute. You just show me that map again. Hold. Okay. So we can't go nowhere across that line in that whole section where it's red. We can't live there. We can't live there. Oh, I can't. They can't go to school over. I mean, it's just 2 blocks. So I mean, I know city blocks kind of big, but it's just a couple of blocks. Why they? Okay. That's segregation. So being a black separatist, I guess to some people that would seem kind of racist. But taken in the 1950s and 60s, it wasn't too many white people that wanted us living around them. I mean, according to this, it said by laws, custom, or institutions. So what kind of institutions did these people belong to? What kind of laws did they have? Okay. So keep that in mind when you hear the terms that these dudes are using on this video. It's about 10 minutes long. I'm not gonna get into the whole thing because I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk some more about it. I just wanted to get this initial video set up and start talking about this dude, bro, Sanchez, because he said a lot of different stuff. I'm gonna a couple more minutes on this, then I'm gonna go back to him, and then we're gonna close this video out.
The white race. Information from a PBS article reveals more specifics of the Nation of Islam's origin, stating, like Malcolm X's father Earl, who left Georgia and came north in search of opportunity and to escape Southern racism. He met Fard and one day heard from him that Fard was in fact Allah, or more precisely, the latest in a series of Allahs. Renamed Elijah Muhammad and referred to him as God's messenger, Poole established a new temple in Chicago, the city that will become the Nation of Islam's headquarters. This establishing of the nation in Chicago was crucial, as Chicago was a large enough city for there to be hope that the message would spread quickly and grow the following. Another focal point of the teachings pushed by Elijah Muhammad, according to the Britannica piece, was that Elijah Muhammad believed that the white race was created by Jacob, a black scientist, and Allah has allowed this race to hold power for 6,000 years. Their time was up in 1914, and that the 20th century was to be the time for black people to assert themselves.
Okay. Now, let me go back a little bit.
The Britannica piece was that.
Okay. Now, this was a Encyclopedia Britannica piece. So this is where he's doing his research at. He's doing his research through the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, this is Height Plus. This is Height Plus. And he's using the Encyclopedia Britannica as one of his sources that he's citing right out of that. So that lets me know right there. This is the Encyclopedia Britannica. So That let me know right there that this is just broke all up. But let me get to the part where they say he was working with and they trying to
the black people, with Elijah Muhammad consistently asserting the time is now. Serving as a leader under Wallace Muhammad since the inception of the group, a few short years later in 1934, Wallace Muhammad would disappear. Elijah Muhammad would immediately begin his reign as leader following the disappearance and looked to expand the group.
In that picture, this picture right here, that picture right there, that's not the same man. So this is how I know they're using the Encyclopedia Britannica and they're using old FBI photos. That is not Mustafa Muhammad. That's not him. That's some dude, but that's not him. Okay, that's not him. So before y'all get to thinking that this was him, I'm letting you know that is not him at all, period. That is not him. This is an FBI photo, by the way. So you have to ask yourself, why would the FBI want to make this picture the official picture of Mustafa Muhammad? Why?
34, Wallace Muhammad would disappear. Elijah Muhammad would immediately begin his reign as leader following the disappearance and looked to expand the group in a way he could as quickly as possible. Gaining of funding for the group was something that in the eyes of Muhammad would be the only way for black people to get on track or ahead in society. The fourth quarter published an article that speaks on the life of donor H.L. Hunt and gives reason as to why he would agree to work with a black man, stating one of Hunt's chief allies, Alfred Zoe, indicated that since 1936, Hunt advocated deporting all African Americans to Africa. For this reason, Hunt supplied Nation of Islam leader Elijah Muhammad with continuous financial support due to Elijah Muhammad's belief in racial separation from whites.
Okay. Now, if y'all don't know who H.L. Hunt is, y'all need to go look him up. Y'all need to go look him up. This is the best way for me to put that. Okay. You got an organization. Somebody wants to donate to your organization. They don't want to attend. They just want to donate some money to it because, you know, they agree with what you're doing. So does that make you in cahoots with them? Or does that mean that they like what you're doing and just want to support what you're doing? Because, see, they make it seem like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to go and raise money for the nation. No, he didn't have to raise money for anything. We already knew what the program was. We already knew that. We already knew what we were a part of. So those brothers got out there and did whatever they had to do to get money to support the nation. So if, let's just say, for instance, H.L. Hunt wanted to donate to the Nation of Islam because he believed in separation or segregation from whites. You see, this is what I mean. What we were doing fits the white supremacist agenda. That don't mean that we was working with them. But if anybody give you some money, are you gonna turn it down if it's not dirty money? Hey, sir, I legitimately like what you're doing with this product right here. I like what you're doing with your movement. I like what you're doing with what you got going on. So this is what I want to do. I want to contribute. No, I'm not. I don't want to buy no clothes. You know, I don't want to do none of that stuff because I don't wear that. But let me contribute because I like what you're doing. I like the message behind what you're doing. So now all of a sudden, if H.L. Hunt was doing that behind closed doors, now all of a sudden we in cahoots with him. What does that mean? Help explain. Help me understand that part. Now I'm gonna break this video up probably into 2 videos, but I don't know yet. I might just go ahead and leave it one because I want y'all to see this all the way through. But do that make me? I mean, I'm not a part of Nike, but I bought some Nikes. You know, I don't have any stock in Skechers, but I wear Skechers. You know, so you donate some stuff to the Christian Center that make you a Christian now? You in cahoots with the Christians, or did you just want to just donate some stuff to them? You want to just take some money up there because, hey, this money will help them feed some people that come up here, and then what does that make you? You just donated some money to the Christian Center. But they're saying he was in cahoots with him. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Let's look we're going to look at it a little bit more, and then I'm going to go back to old boy real quick.
1997, Dr. Manny Marabell would publish an article titled Along the Color Line, which would detail the controversial meeting of Minister Louis Farrakhan, Reverend Benjamin Chavis, and fascist racist leader Lyndon LaRouche. Before detailing this meeting in the 90s, the author notes that the Nation of Islam had a long history of meeting with the white right. At the height of the civil rights movement across the South, many white racists and ultra-conservatives came to the conclusion that the racially separatist views of Elijah Muhammad were clearly preferable to the integrationism of Martin Luther King. Now, Hunt was an oil baron, originally from Illinois, who made it big in Texas. The shared idea that blacks and whites should not be together led to the consistency of the support, and the billions of revenue gained from being an oil tycoon made Elijah Muhammad rich as he purchased lavish homes and other items for himself from these contributions. Additionally, Elijah Muhammad would end up establishing overseas bank accounts as well as for his assets, with many claiming he did this merely out of greed to avoid taxes.
Ali, I'm doing your hair so beautifully. Does that mean you forgive me?
I'll try. I mean, you were only, what was it, 2 hours?
As the years went on, Elijah Muhammad would only become more passionate in his pursuit of preventing integration. Hypercritically.
Okay. Now, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad wasn't preventing integration. He was just saying, do for self. Take care of your people. Protect your woman. Make all men and boys join the FOI. Let's build a nation. Now, in what the Muslims want and what the Muslims believe, this was one of the things that was said. This is what the Muslims want, point number 4. Now listen carefully. Listen carefully. We want our people in America whose parents or grandparents were descendants of slaves to be allowed to establish a separate state or territory of their own, either on this continent or elsewhere. Now, you heard them just say they've been trying to send us back to Africa since Lincoln, since Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was the first person to propose us going back. No, I think Thomas Jefferson was. That's the 3rd president, right? They wanted to get us away from them, okay? Because they were done with us. Whatever we were doing for them, they was done with it. They wanted to get us away from them. So, hey, y'all done did enough. Thank you very much for your services. We're gonna send y'all over here to Africa, give y'all your own country and everything. We just don't want y'all living with us. We want to be the number we want to be the number one people over here. And we want to run this. We done so much to you. I don't even see why you even want to live around us anymore anyway. We done so much to you. You probably can't stand us. We don't like you. You don't like us. So, hey, why are we even doing this? Okay. H.L. Hunt, if he was donating money to the cause under the table, whatever it was, listen to this. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to provide such land, and that area must be fertile and minerally rich. We believe that our former slave masters are obligated to maintain and supply our needs in the separate territory for the next 20 to 25 years until we are able to produce and supply our own needs. That was the first part. I'll get to the second part later. But if he wanted to donate money to it, then why not? He took that money, started businesses, supermarkets, importing fish for the brothers, selling it to the community, starting grocery stores, getting the needs of our people bought so they have their own economy. Haircut, corner, grocery store, construction. You want to buy some fish? I got some food over here for you. Fish market. Everything owned by us. Then nobody else want to have nothing to do with us at that time. So what are you talking about? Hype Plus, you want to make it seem like he's some type of separatist and he was trying to get money or whatever and trying to juke the people. But I can understand why you would say that. Encyclopedia Britannica citing individual. I can understand that. So I'm gonna stop it right there on that one because see, he gonna talk about it on his video. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to good old bro Sanchez here. Hold on, let me play something.
Black folks are the same, and we got different vibrations and frequencies.
Yes,
and some of us ain't spiritually headed in the same direction. I'm sorry.
See how he capping? He capping now, ain't he? He capping
and these
hard.
People that's out there colonizing, pillaging the world and all that, they frequency and spirit ain't like ours, and it never has been, and that ain't nowhere in us. So you can't graft that out of us. That was never in our ancestors to begin with.
Now that right there. Now you see, this is what I mean by talking about something you really not knowing what you're talking about. In order for you to say that wasn't in us, you would be saying that we had no brown germ in us. And we both know that that is not the truth. We both know that the black man and woman are genetically made specifically by God himself from the beginning of time. So let's say God made himself because he is self-created. After he created himself, he wanted to create a body for him. And then he created the woman right after he created himself. So he created himself a body, which is man, and then he created his woman, his mate. Okay. Creating his mate enabled him to be able to see himself again. This time it's only taken 9 months. When he was first creating himself, it took him about 66, 70 trillion years. Trillion. And that's just putting a small estimate on it. Y'all know how the moon got out there? Look into that. Wasn't no explosion. Didn't nothing hit the earth and break the moon off and send it out there. Nah, that moon got put out there. That moon used to be a part of this earth at one point. I know this might be the first time a lot of y'all are hearing this, but haven't y'all ever thought it gotta be some missing history here, because all of this stuff just came up out of nowhere. Did you ever figure out how technology came into effect? How we went from using vacuum tubes in so-called mainframes that was trying to build a computer back in the 20s, 30s, 20s. And went from using tubes to creating microchips. In 10, 15 years, go back. You can go back and do the history. By the time the 40s came around, 40s and 50s, telephone, all of this stuff was in development. All of the stuff we got now was in development during that time period. Where you think they got all of that stuff from? Y'all remember the crash, Roswell, 1947? What do you think they did with that vehicle? What do you think they did with the stuff that they found? They did something called reverse engineering. So they took something that they didn't think had any meaning to it and examined it, researched it, took it apart, looked inside of whatever they could do with it. And they took it and they reverse engineered it, which means they took it, studied it, found a use for it, and then they made something out of it. Where you think your microchips came from? Your fiber optics came from? Where you think your computers came from? Where do you think night vision came from? Where do you think all of this stuff that they were creating, where do you think it came from? It had to be ideas being brought into existence by people. We create. We procreate to continue civilization, and we create because we're the gods of this plane with a higher God allowing us to exercise our will. So don't ever get it twisted. Bro, Sanchez, if you want to be a talking head, you got to stop being so emotional. Because your emotions cause you to say a lot of stuff, and you was using these videos. You was using every video you could possibly use to try and prove your point, and then you go off on tangents. I'm not even an hour into his video yet. So, you know, we're going to be breaking this down for a minute. I'm about to go ahead and he has to be able to get the business. But it's not out of spite. It's not to start nothing. It's out of love. And on top of that, what I will do is I'll make sure that I invite him to the platform so we can actually have a discussion. Because, see, you thinking about this from all the wrong reasons, but I don't think he'll really understand it anyway, because I don't think that's a part of his nature. Hold on, watch what he say over here. Hold on, watch this.
That was in them. Like to put that on us to say, well, that come from you. It came out of you. That's your child. No, we ain't gonna do that. And we can't let the NOI do that. And if anybody got smoked like Madon, click the link. Anybody got smoke, bring it.
Now I clicked the link. But he was on Instagram. So I don't know why I couldn't get on it. But let's see what happened.
I want let's
He
get
want
it
the
lit.
smoke.
This is harmful to our people, man.
He want the smoke.
Here decisions were made that shape nations and destinies.
What brings you here, son?
I believe he has an idea he would like to present to the gods. Go ahead with your proposal.
Inside every man, there are two forces, a strong one and a weak one.
So a big-headed ass boy went to these grown-ass men in charge and said, you know what? If we take the weak force out of us and put it in a whole nother human, we could make a whole nother kind of being by manifesting the weak force out of us.
And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. And it was supposed to happen that way. Because it was a predetermined idea that God, the creator, the most high, we call him Allah, we call him Yahweh, we call him Jehovah, we call him Jehovah Jireh, we call him the creator, the life force, whatever you want to call him. It was a predetermined idea that came from him. Do you think you, when you was younger and you wanted to be a doctor, do you think you came up with that idea? Being a child? That was a 6-year-old child, by the way. Yaqub at 6 figured out what he wanted to do. He figured out he wanted to be a scientist when he turned 6 years old. So he studied in every single school up until he was 18. Then once he turned 18, he started going out on the street and making converts. He knew what he wanted to do. He had a determined idea that didn't come from him because his soul and his spirit didn't come from him. His nature didn't come from him. He was born 20 miles outside of the city of Mecca. When your son and daughter was born, and by the time they turned 10 or 11, they said they wanted to be a pharmacist, or they wanted to be a race car driver, Danica Patrick, or if they wanted to be a basketball player, LeBron James, you know, were these things they just wanted to do, or were these predetermined ideas that came as a part of them? What if his mother was watching basketball the whole time she was pregnant with him? What if he felt everything she felt because she liked the sport? And then when she had him, that was the first thing he wanted to do as soon as he seen it and heard it, because his mama used to watch it all the time. Now he in front of the TV. Yeah, my mama used to watch that. He might ask her, Mama, how long you been watching basketball? Boy, I was watching basketball when I was pregnant with you. Ah, okay, that's why I like basketball then. Boy, why you like that song? Mama, why I like this? Every time the song come on, it just got me Boy, I was listening to that song when you was pregnant, when I was pregnant with you. I'm sorry. Not when you was pregnant, but when I was pregnant with you, I listened to that song about 4 or 5 times a day. That's why I like that song. Yeah, boy, every time I turn that song on, you get the kicking and moving in my stomach. I'll be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that. There was outside influence, but at the end of the day, that was a predetermined idea that came from God Himself. When that little boy was born, he started doing what was in his nature. Okay? So, yeah, that 6-year-old boy, he wasn't 6 years old when this happened. He was talking to his uncle in the story, in the history of Yakub. He was talking to his uncle when he said that. That was a conversation between him and his uncle when he was 6. And when he got older, he took that idea. He took that idea to them, and they said, no, you can't make your man here. But what he really was doing, according to the story, is that he was making converts, because this was the idea that he had. So in order for him to do this idea, he had to get people that would rock with him. So he did. He made converts. He made so many that he changed the satisfaction and dissatisfaction percentage of the city. 30% was dissatisfied. 70% was satisfied. So out of the 30% dissatisfied who wanted to change something was where he got his converts. They arrested him. He was still making converts. Then they said, okay, what is it that you want to do, Mr. Yakub? He said, I want you to allow me and my people to leave and go somewhere. The people that want to go with me, they can go. So I can continue what I'm trying to do. So they took him, and everybody that wanted to go with him, out to the island of Patmos in the Aegean Sea. And for the next 20 to 25 years, they took care of him and funded him everything he needed to get his experiment started. After 25 years, they cut him off. He was done. It took 600 years for that whole process to happen. So this was a process. It was a process that had rules, regulations, had handbooks, playbooks, whatever you want, whatever title you want to add to it, had all of that. And that plan stayed in action for 600 years until bam. You have a man that's the total opposite of the black man that he was talking about, he was going to create. But you know what? The story is in your Bible about Jacob too. He took all of the spotted sheep and all of the speckled sheep, gathered them together at first. Where did the speckled sheep and the spotted sheep come from? When sheep are white, was the sheep's genetics just running wild and it was just having speckled and brown sheep? No. Jacob was, y'all really keep thinking that the people of the Bible were just these paupers and these peasants who didn't do anything. No, these people made stuff. These people put stuff together. They knew how to do that. So you don't think they could have been learning about genetics back then? What do you think animal husbandry is? Look up animal husbandry. That'll tell you a lot right there. But then Jacob left. with his 12 children, and he wrestled with an angel. And that angel changed his name to Israel, which is why you have the children of Israel. But then Jacob had a whole nother thing that he was doing, and that was this. You see what I'm saying? A whole nother thing he was doing. I mean, you do your research. You can take it or leave it. It's up to you. It's up to you. But this is just part one. And I just want to say for the record, bro Sanchez, you might have to stop with the emotional stuff. But watch this stuff.
And they was like, you know what? That's a badass idea, you big-headed bitch. That's a whole badass problem that you talking about, you Yakubian enormous-headed mother. And they was like, but you know what? Do it anyway, okay? Go ahead and do it, little nigga.
Listen to him. Listen
That's
to
a
him.
dumbass idea with your big-headed ass, but go ahead and do it, little nigga, you know? You go ahead with your big-headed ass, all right? That's basically the movie, man. This is crazy. Like, this shouldn't even be episodes. It just should be a 30-minute big head. Okay, let me just play the video.
Made that shape nations and destinies.
What brings you here,
Now
son?
he's playing it again.
I believe he has an idea he would like to present to the gods.
It's a dumbass idea, but we're gonna do it anyway, because he's just a little big-headed motherfucker. You know that's my little nigga.
Go ahead with your proposal.
Inside every man, there are two forces.
Hey, Cam 1570, you know you just hit him on the head with that one. Hold on now. Oh, my God. Cam 1570 said, so Yakub was a British accented mad scientist, boy. Damn. Hold on. I didn't even peep that.
So see now, look. So now they want to start making fun of the video. Oh, he was what they say? British sounding. Just find any nuance. And this is an AI generated video, by the way, for y'all. If y'all don't know, there aren't any actors. Okay, those aren't actors. That's AI generated. That's my brother. My brother Ben X is doing this thing. You see what I'm saying? He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's bringing this to the forefront like he said he was. He said he was going to do this years ago. I'm going to find a way to bring I want to be able to just bring the story to life. I want to be able to bring the teachings to life. And that's what he's doing right now. And it's just smacking them upside their head. They don't know what to do. They just like, oh my God, you know. So now, since we can't resort to anything else, we just gonna laugh and giggle about it. We gonna talk about it now. See, I'm gonna stop it right there. That's where we gonna stop it at. This is where we gonna pick up. That's where we gonna pick up on the next video. But thanks, family, for being here with me. Hey, look. Like and subscribe this, man. If y'all could get through this whole thing in one sitting, then that'd be great. But I hope y'all come away with something. But message to the black man is where the story of Yakub is. If y'all, anybody who's listening, if you're not scared to read the story, I would suggest that you get Message to the Black Man. Any black man or woman out there who heard his podcast and then heard this one, go check that out. And then come back and tell me what you think after you read it. If you got any questions, anybody got any questions or anything, leave them in the comments. Leave them down in the comments. I'd be more than willing to answer them, be more than happy to answer them. But we're going to have a discussion. We're not going to have a debate. I know it's going to be people that's just going to throw some old off the wall stuff out there, but hey, that's on y'all. You know, the stuff I know is if it's absolutely ignorant, I'm not even going to respond to it. I'm just letting you know that now. I'm going to read it and then that's going to be it. But yeah. It'll be all right, Brother Sanchez. You know, as my brother would say, we gonna be all right. You gonna be all right. You gonna be all right, bro, for real. Like, share, comment, man. This is 2020. I'm out of here. Peace.
In this current climate, day and time, information needs to be given clearly. In this case, Clear Vision with 2020 is a podcast for the people, by the people, that does exactly that. Your host keeps an open eye and mind when dealing with any issue at hand. We empower our audience with knowledge. You matter, and here, I use my voice to support and represent the people. The people are the human family who loves truth. Logical thinking and conversation skills are required for communication. News, culture, music, and entertainment with a clear look from a different perspective. Clear Vision with 2020.
Peace, family.